हरे कृष्णा प्रभु.
हरे कृष्णा संवत प्रभु. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கு பிரபு. நீங்க எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
சௌகரியம் பிரபு. ஹரே கிருஷ்ணா.
ஹரே கிருஷ்ணா. ஹரே கிருஷ்ணா பிரபு. ஹரே கிருஷ்ணா சம்பத் பிரபு. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? நல்லா இருக்கு.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु.
माता जी हरे कृष्णा.
ரெக்கார்டிங் பண்ணியிருந்தீங்களா? ரீப்ளே ஆச்சு.
இது வந்தது இல்லையா?
எக்கோவா?
ஒரு ஃபீட்பேக் மாதிரி வந்தது இப்போ.
அதான்
இந்த யூடியூப்ல லைவ் போயிட்டு இருக்கிறதுனால அதுல இருந்து வருது. அதை க்ளோஸ் பண்ண மறந்துட்டேன்.
ஓ சரி சரி.
பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இங்க குழந்தைங்க பயங்கர சத்தம் போட்டு இருக்காங்க. கேக்குறதா உங்களுக்கு? கேட்கல இல்லையா? சரி
இல்ல பிரபு.
சரி, நாய்ஸ் கேன்சலேஷன் வரலையோ தெரியும்.
இல்ல ஒண்ணுமே கேட்கல.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु.
हरे कृष्णा. Let's get started.
हरे कृष्णा बाबू जी, दंडवत प्रणाम.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते. तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पश्चात देशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौरभक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Hri Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri. We're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, verse number 39 onwards. We read until 38 yesterday. So let's continue with 39. Deva Uchuhu Namamate Deva Padharavindam Prapanna Tapopa Samapatram Yanmulaketa Yatayonja Shoru Shanshara Dukham Bahir Utshipanti Deva Uchuhu Namamate Deva Padaravindam Prapanna Tapopa Samatapatram Yanmulaketa Yatayonja Shoru Shanshara Dukkam Bahir Ukshipanti. Priya Mataji, Pratima Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The demigod said, "Oh Lord, your Devaha Uchuhu." The demigod said, "Namama, we offer our respectful obeisances. Te, your Deva, O Lord. Pada Aravindam, lotus feet. Prapanna, surrendered. Tapa, distress. Upasama, Upashama, suppresses. Atapatram, umbrella. Yat Mula Ketaha, shelter of the lotus feet. Yatayaha, great sages. Anjasa, totally. Uru, great. Samsara Dukkam, miseries of material existence. Bahihi, out. Ukshipanti, forcibly through. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The demigod said, "O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet." So we saw that how suddenly the devas are coming. We see that in the previous verse, there is the mention about how the Lord is the one behind all the devatas. The controlling deities of all the above mentioned physical elements are empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu. They are embodied by eternal time under the external energy, and they are his parts and parcels because they were entrusted with different functions of universal duties and were unable to perform them. They offered fascinating prayers to the Lord as follows. So that is the context of the devas offering prayers unto the Supreme Lord. So they say that your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Purport. There are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material miseries. It's a very interesting way Srila Prabhupada begins the purport. It says, there are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material miseries. What does it mean? Rebirth itself is a material misery. That is what we have to. So we see that Neha Vikrama Nasosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Prayate Mahato Bhayat. So in the purport to Mahato Bhayat, the greatest danger, generally we consider that the greatest danger is death. But actually it's not death which is the greatest danger. Sometimes death can be not a danger, because after your death, if you go back home, back to Godhead, then why is it danger? So death is not the real danger. The real danger is rebirth, and conquering rebirth, the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. That is what is the real exit from the material miseries. And so Srila Prabhupada mentions here saying, who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material miseries, which means rebirth is also one of the material miseries. Punarapi jananam, punarapi, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi janani jhadareshan, like that. But of all of them, those who take shelter under the lotus feet can completely throw off all such miseries without difficulty. Now, even though the fear of such miseries are there, but if one catches Vajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charana. If simply they catch Abhaya Charanara Vindare, if somebody catches the lotus feet, then they can be without fear of such miseries of the material world. What to speak of ordinary miseries? Even the ultimate misery of being reborn in this material world can be conquered by simply catching the lotus feet of Krishna. Others who are engaged in transcendental activities in different ways cannot do so. Which means what? There are several others who are also engaged in the so-called transcendental activities, but they are not catching the lotus feet of the Lord, which means they are not surrendered unto Krishna, but they are engaged in the so-called transcendental activities of Jnana, Sankhya, Yoga, and so on and so forth. For them, it is very difficult. They may artificially think of becoming liberated without accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, but that is not possible. One is sure to fall again to material existence from such false liberation, even though one may have undergone severe penances and austerities. In comparison to what a devotee does, it looks like somebody who is performing yoga, jnana, or sankhya. It looks like it's very intense. Oh, studying so much, analyzing it, very analytically studying Sankhya. Jnana, again, having to, very deeply engage in the understanding of Jnana. And then we also have Yoga, which is also a very difficult and a very long-drawn process. It looks like, oh, they're all so difficult process. And sometimes because of that, people think bhakti is not a real process because it's so easy. What is this? Simply chanting Hare Krishna and having prasadam. This doesn't seem like a very serious process, right? It seems like a very simple, easy. It will not work. People think like that, but it's actually the other way around. Even though all the other processes seem so difficult and sometimes seem very intense, without the addition of bhakti to those processes by themselves cannot take us to the destination. They are only a means to the ultimate destination, but without the addition of bhakti, that means is also a waste of time. That is the conclusion of the scriptures. So this is the opinion of the demigods, who are not only well-versed in Vedic knowledge, but are also seers of the past, present, and future. The opinions of the demigods are valuable because the demigods are authorized to hold positions in the affairs of universal management. They are appointed by the Lord as his confidential servants. So that is their conclusion, that ultimately one has to catch the lotus feet of the Lord. That is the only way to get out of the miseries, and there is absolutely no other means by which one can get out of the miseries of material existence. Text number 40. Dhatar yad ashmin bhava isha jivas tapatrayena abhihata na sharma atman labante bhagavang stavangri chayam savidyam ata ashrayema.
Hare Krishna. Dhataha, O Father, yat because asmin in this bhave material world, Isha, O Lord, Jivaha, the living entities, Tapa, miseries, Trayana, by the three, Avihataha, always embraced, Na, never, Sharma, in happiness, Atman, self, Labhante, do gain, Bhagavan, O personality of Godhead, Tava, your, Angri Chayam, shade of your feet, Savidyam, full of knowledge, Ataha, obtain, Ashrayema, shelter. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O Father, O Lord, O personality of Godhead. So they are addressing him as O Father, O Lord, O personality of Godhead. The living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the three kinds of miseries. What does it mean? Even though apparently looks like there is some enjoyment that is there in the whole process of material existence, ultimately the three kinds of miseries, which is the tapatraya, adhyatmika, adibhautika, and adidhaivika, kleshas, they don't allow you to even enjoy those so-called enjoyments because of the anxieties that are involved. What is the anxiety? We see that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsahas Supajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Krodho Vijayate. There is Kama, and then immediately he says, Krodho Vijayate. Why? Because there is Kama. After Kama, we either get that desire fulfilled or we don't get it fulfilled. But there is problem in both. If we don't get fulfilled, we become frustrated. So that produces anger. Even if it gets fulfilled, we have the fear of losing it. Oh, I have got it. Now, when will I lose it? Either that could be the fear or the anxiety. Or by the time we get it, we were thinking, oh, this person has that, so I will get it. But by the time you got it, that person got something better than that. Then even your anxiety increases. I was fighting all my life to get this, but look at this neighbor. I thought I will match him, but he has gone one step further. Now I have to work another lifetime to get to where he is. So what I will do, my age is gone, but I will somehow train my children also to become very nice and then they can live a standard of life. Like this, it never happens. So he says that the living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the three kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, and we also thus take shelter of them. Now, Srila Prabhupada will explain this beautiful line here. It says, therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge. Right? What does it mean? That if one simply takes the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, automatically knowledge is bestowed upon it. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandham Bodhivardha. Vidya will come automatically, right? So why should we even listen to Bhagavatam? Why should we, read scriptures? Should we stop doing it? We'll simply surrender. But then for us to actually surrender to his lotus feet, we have to study. So that Srila Prabhupada will explain as to what the proper understanding is. Purport. The way of devotional service is neither sentimental nor mundane. It is the path of reality by which the living entity can attain the transcendental happiness of being freed from the three kinds of material miseries. The way of devotional service is neither sentimental nor mundane. Means it's not just something that is done emotionally. It has got a lot of science behind it. That is why it is the science of devotional service. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. Right? So it is the path of reality, which means this is actually the real path. Every other path is just an illusory path, by which the living entity can attain the transcendental happiness of being freed from the three kinds. Every other path promise the so-called relief or liberation from such miseries. But this is the real path that can relieve us from these miseries eternally or permanently. Right? So miseries arising from the body and mind, from other living entities, and from natural disturbance. Everyone who is conditioned by material existence, whether he be a man or beast or demigod or bird, must suffer from adhyatmika, bodily or mental pains, adi bhautika pains, those offered by living creatures, and adi dhaivika pains, those due to supernatural disturbances. His happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditional life. But there is only one way he can be rescued, and that is by accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The argument that unless one has proper knowledge, one cannot be freed from material miseries is undoubtedly true, but carefully listen. So here, Srila Prabhupada says, the argument that unless one has proper knowledge, one cannot be freed from material miseries is undoubtedly true. That knowledge is required. Proper knowledge is required for us to get ourselves freed from material miseries, which is true. And then there is a but. Right? What does it mean? Because the lotus feet of the Lord are full of transcendental knowledge, acceptance of his lotus feet completes that necessity. Which means, Srila Prabhupada quotes here. We have already discussed this point in the first canto 127. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yat Ahaitukam. When Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha, when Bhakti Yoga is performed, to who? Bhagavati. And who is that Bhagavati? Vasudeve. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. Janayati means it will come. When it will come, Ashu means very quickly. What will come? Vairagyam, which means detachment from this material world will come. Jnanam. Why first Vairagyam and then Jnanam? Because if there is no detachment from this material world and simply there is Jnanam, there is no use of such knowledge, because that knowledge does not turn into Vijnanam. Oh, I understand we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Spirit soul means we are part and parcel of Krishna. Part and parcel of Krishna means I have to serve Krishna. But if you don't serve Krishna, knowing all of this philosophy, then what is the use of such knowledge? There is no use of such knowledge. You know that if you touch fire, it will burn you. But if you still touch fire, is there any use of the knowledge that if you touch fire, it will burn you? There's no knowledge. There's no use of it. In a similar way, that if there is no Vairagya, that, oh, I am not this body, which means I should not do things that are in association with this body, which are temporary. I have to use this body for the ultimate purpose for which it is been given. What is the ultimate purpose? This is the vehicle by which I can perform devotional service. So I will use this body, maintain this body in such a way that I can perform devotional service. Jivasya tattva jigyasha. Na indriya pritihi, labho jivetaya. That is the conclusion of Srimad. The purpose of this body is not indriyartha. It's not for the purpose of sense gratification. Labho jivetayavata. But we have to maintain this body. How much should we maintain this body? Not so much that you will be simply gratifying the necessities of the body. Jiveta, just to keep it alive, running. From morning till evening, if you keep on polishing your car, what is the point? Sit in the driver's seat and drive. So that is what we are doing. Simply polishing it from morning till evening, simply taking care of the body. It's not going to help us. We have to take care of the body as much as it is required. So what is it required for? Tattva jignasha, to inquire into the absolute. That is what is the purpose of the body. This human existence. So that we have to use it. So the point is, one has to become detached from things that are not necessary. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Anukulyasya, we have to accept it. Whatever is favorable, we accept. Whatever is not favorable, we have to reject it. That is the point. So Vairagya. Then that Jnanam becomes useful. Then what is the result of such Jnanam? That Bhakti Yoga that we perform will become Ahaitukam. Ahaituki Apratigata, which means it will not be motivated. Ahaituki Bhakti means there will not be any motivation for that. Otherwise, Jnanam will be there. No Vairagya is there. Then what will you do? You will use the Jnanam to see that how you can manipulate this material world and live in this material world happily. Sometimes even in Krishna consciousness. Because chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare can give many results. When one chants Hare Krishna, it gives him a lot of fame. It gives him a lot of wealth that he can't even imagine. Sometimes devotees think, oh, what Prabhu you're telling me about wealth? I've lost all wealth after I came to Hare Krishna. No, it is not a fact. Right? It is not a fact. Actually, one gains a lot of wealth, by performing devotional service that they don't realize. Why? It is because we do not understand the process of wealth, or we do not understand what is real wealth. First of all, real wealth is our health. Yes or no? Krishna takes care of our health. When we perform devotional service simply by having prasadam, he takes care of our health very nicely. Just think about other people who are not in Krishna, not in Krishna consciousness, in the sense they might be in Krishna consciousness, but if they do not follow the proper principles of eating prasadam and things like that, you hardly have to go to the doctor. Right? If you are following Krishna consciousness properly, which means eating prasadam, everyday cook, offer it, and if you follow those regulative principles properly, you will hardly have to go and spend money on doctor and things like that. It's not required. But when we don't follow, sometimes we might call ourselves devotees, but if we do not follow, yesterday I was talking to one of my friends who used to be a devotee who used to come to temple for many, many years, but he's living alone. He's not married. He's living alone. Said, I have this pain and that pain. Said, it's probably because you're sitting and working on the computer for too long. I told him. Then he said, that is one thing. The other thing is also because I'm eating outside in the hotel. I said, naturally. Right? So if you're eating outside in the hotel, especially in today's context, so many things are being added, chemicals are being added just for the purpose of taste. Right? And the consciousness of the person who's cooking, all of these things matter. Right? And what happens? Not that it spoils your physical health, but it also spoils your mental health. So Krishna consciousness in that way preserves your health in that sense by wealth. Why? Because every money saved is every money earned. You might not be earning so much money. Like, there's a devotee, a friend of mine. He lives in Govardhan. He says, Prabhu, I have a small kutir in Govardhan, a little house he has, very small house, little kitchen, small place. He lives in Govardhan. For me, 6,000 rupees is enough, Prabhu. Every month, 6,000 rupees is enough for me. Not more than that. That's all. He lives a happy life. He's sitting in Govardhan, right? 6,000 rupees he spends. I was in Govardhan recently for a few weeks, almost 20 days. I went out there. I was buying vegetables and buying things like that. If you buy simple vegetables and, do simple cooking and simple living there, it's not expensive at all. From the nearby villages, they're all bringing all the, vegetables and everything. Only if you go for high-end cooking, with all the so-called things that you can keep in the fridge, like, all those preservative-based foods like pasta, pizza, all those things. But if you're cooking regular food, normal rice or roti, sabzi, and things like that, life is very, very simple. You just go out, buy some things, you can easily cook for one full week. Vegetables are available, everything is available. And almost everything is cheap there. The shoe, I lost my shoes twice there in Govardhan. Right? So I went and bought the shoe. The same shoe cost in Chennai 3 times more cost. Same brand, same shoe, same model, everything same. But in Govardhan is 1/3 of the cost or half the cost in some cases. That is life. So if we really want to, we can live a very simple life. But what we do is we always increase the necessities of our life and then we struggle. We keep on increasing the necessities of life. I need this, I need that. Then we keep on increasing it. And then there is no end to it. And to add to it, there is advertisement. Right? It keeps pushing you. You don't have to go and see in the shop what to buy. I will come and tell you what to buy. Recommendation. Every Morning first we open our mobile, it'll recommend, we recommend this product for you. You saw this, do you want to buy this? Last time you bought this, do you want to buy this again? Hey, Papa, I just bought it 1 week back. Why I want to buy again? Like that, there is technology to lure you back into buying things more and more, even things that we don't want. So Vairagya is important. Unless we detach and we know how much should we detach, we don't have to detach completely. Detachment means, what is detachment? Using things which are favorable for Krishna and not using things that are not favorable for Krishna. That is what detachment is. If an external person comes and sees me in my table now, right now, he'll say, you are saying Hare Krishna, detachment, all of this, what you're having computer, you have all of these things set up, camera, everything. Yeah, this is detachment. You come and sit, no? Same setup I'll give. Every day you come and sit and you read Bhagavatam or listen to Bhagavatam. I'll give you the setup. Can you do that? Cannot do that. I was watching a video yesterday. A reporter was asking a question to Prabhupada. Do you people work? They're saying, reporters, they think that they are the ones who are working so hard, because they are doing so many things in so-called media. Prabhupada says, why don't you come? I am 69, 70 years old. I work 24/7. I get up in the morning at 2 o'clock. I write books, I do programs and everything. Can you come and do 1 day, 1 week? In fact, it happened. In America, when Srila Prabhupada started the temple, the American government was a little bit thinking something is going on fishy in this so-called movement, Hare Krishna movement. So they wanted to. So the CIA agency, like the FBI, they have the CIA, right? So they sent the CIA to find out what is going on in ISKCON. What are these people doing? Because the lights are all on at 4 o'clock there. Because New York, Prabhupada started this in New York. So the CIA got a little bit fishy. What's going on in these people? They get up in the morning, they are, coming to the thing, and all of the people who are there, all, hippies and so on and so forth. So what is really going on in this place? So they sent somebody, a CIA agent, and asked him to be there with these people and find out exactly what is. So they sent a spy into Hare Krishna. It actually happened. It's not a cooked up story. So the spy, he came and he stayed in the temple with the devotees, right? And he had to pretend like he was a devotee too. Otherwise, he would be chucked out. People would, So, it's like when everybody bowed down, he also bowed down. When everybody was sitting in the class, he was also sitting in the class in the morning. When everybody got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, did Mangalarati in the morning, he also got up. Everybody was doing service, he was also doing service. Kirtan, cooking, prasadam, everything he was doing. After 1 week, he went and gave a report saying that there cannot be any other people who are as disciplined as these people. I lived there for 1 full week, right? There is no way there could be anybody as disciplined as these people. Don't even think about them. They are the best. They are the ones who are required for America. That was the report of the CIA agent to their government. So that they don't understand, right? They think that, oh, we are all very, but of course, that does not mean that we endlessly accumulate things. Even as devotees, sometimes we have to be very careful what is necessary and what is not, or more than necessary, and accordingly use it. So Vairagyam and Jnanam, they go together. And then that changes to Ahituki Bhakti. Otherwise, without Vairagya, if there is Jnana, then what happens is all the benefits that we get out of Bhakti, we will try to enjoy that. When we start enjoying the results of Bhakti, then they will fall down, we lose taste. So we have to be careful. Oh, if I chant Hare Krishna nicely, then my job will be preserved. If I chant today and go, my boss will not, shout on me. Like that, if we think that this is just a ritualistic performance, that by this performance we can be avoiding all the miseries, and that is the purpose of doing Hare Krishna, then what will happen is it's okay. We will get rid of the miseries. It will still work because the medicine of Hare Krishna will definitely work. But then we will slowly lose taste for chanting Hare Krishna, and at one point in time, we will decline. Then what happens? We will go back to our old ways. Then again, one slap Maya will give. Oh, now you're not chanting? Okay, I was protecting you as long as you were chanting. Now you're not, see, you lost interest in chanting now. And then again, we'll go back to chanting. This will keep going on. Now, from here to there to here to there to here. If we keep on moving like this, chanting, then protection, then lose taste, and then go into Maya, again come back, Hare Krishna. If we keep on doing this, we will be again circling in this material. But that is not our goal. Our goal is to get out of this cycle. We know that this cycle is going to end up in misery. So how to get out of that misery? Get out of that misery is to hold Avaya Sharanara. That is simply to catch the lotus feet of the Lord. So there is no want of knowledge in the devotional service of Vasudeva, the personality of God. He, the Lord, personally takes charge of dissipating the darkness of ignorance from the heart of the devotee. He confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesham satata yuktanam Vajatam priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam enamam upayantite. So here he says, Tesham satata yuktanam. So the key word is satata yuktanam, means to always be connected. Bhajatam means to perform devotional service. Priti purvakam means in favorable, with priti. Not, the demoniac mentality that, oh, when will I kill Krishna? Always thinking about Krishna, but when will I kill Krishna? That is the demoniac attitude. Not in that mood. So, bhajatam priti purvakam, then dadami buddhi yogam tam enamam upayantite. For the ones who worship, I will give them the knowledge. Right? So, empiric philosophical speculation cannot give one relief. So, that is the difference. The difference is that one can simply keep on studying and get empirical philosophical speculative knowledge. That is not going to help. Knowledge and practice of knowledge by devotion, both of them should go together. If they don't go together, then it is a waste of valuable time. 41. Marghanti yatte mukha padma nidais chandaha suparnair rashayo vivikte yasyaga marshoda saritvarayaha padang padang tirtha pada prapannaha.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Marganti, searching after, yet as te, yours, Mukta Padma, lotus-like face, Nidai, by those who have taken shelter of such a lotus flower, Chamdaha, Vedic hymns, Suparnaihi, by the wings, Rishya, the sages, Vivikte, in clear mind, Yasya, whose, Agamarsha Uda, that which offers freedom from all reactions to sin, Sarit, rivers, Varaya, in the best, Padam, in every step, Tirtha Padaha, one whose lotus feet are as good as a place of pilgrimage, Prapannaha, taking shelter. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna. The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest of your lotus-like face. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of the best of rivers, the Ganges, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. So it's a very nice poetic description. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, which means by the guidance of the Vedas, the wings guide the flying, reach the lotus feet of the Lord, but they are very clear-minded. If they are not clear-minded, they get distracted, right? So they know exactly where the shelter is. The places of pilgrimage. What is the place of pilgrimage for a bird? A bird sanctuary, right? Why do the birds go to a sanctuary? Because the place where it is living, if it is very hot, It has to find a place where it is suitable for the climate that is suitable for its living. So it will move from one place to another to a bird sanctuary. Right? It keeps moving like that. So like that, the clear-minded sage, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest. And what is that sanctuary? That sanctuary is the lotus-like face or the lotus feet of the Lord. And what is that compared to? That they themselves are the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet every step by taking shelter of the best of the rivers, the Ganges, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. What does it mean? Ganges comes from the lotus feet of the Lord. And so some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of the best of the rivers, the Ganges, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. The Paramahamsas are compared to royal swans who make their nest on the petals of the lotus flower. The Lord's transcendental bodily parts are always compared to the lotus flower because in the material world, the lotus flower is the last word in beauty. The most beautiful thing in the world is the Vedas or Bhagavad Gita because therein knowledge is imparted by the personality of Godhead himself. The Paramahamsa makes his nest in the lotus-like face of the Lord and always seeks shelter at his lotus feet, which are reached by the wings of Vedic wisdom. Since the Lord is the original source of all emanations, intelligent persons enlightened by Vedic knowledge seek the shelter of the Lord. Just as birds who leave the nest again search out the nest to take complete rest. All Vedic knowledge is meant for understanding the Supreme Lord. As stated by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedya. Intelligent persons who are like swans take shelter of the Lord by all means and do not hover on the mental plane by fruitlessly speculating on different philosophies. So, if one has the wings of the Vedas, which means what? If their journey is guided by the instructions of the Vedas, then it has to reach the conclusion of the Vedas. What is the conclusion of the Vedas? Vedaischa sarvai ahameva vedya. To know Krishna is the sum and substance of the Vedas. Everything else is just the intermediary journey. The purpose of journey, let's say if we take a train from Chennai to Kolkata, the purpose of that journey is to go to Mayapur. The purpose of the journey is not to, morning idli, afternoon, this in this station, if it stops, there will be sambar vada here. And then in that station, if we, when we used to go, those days we used to, when you go to Vijayawada, there they will have that Vijaya milk, they have this mishti doi. I will always wait for that mishti doi there. Because that is where they will start serving, all this mishti doi from there all the way to Kolkata. Before that, you will not get. So if you go to different places, you will get different fruits. Right? Some places you will get guava. In some seasons, you will get sitafal. You'll get mangoes and things like that, in different stations like that. Is that the purpose of the journey? No, that is not the purpose of it. These are all things that happen during the journey. Right? But one has to be always clear-headed as to what is the goal. What does it mean? It means that, I got down at Vijayawada station. I had something which I liked. It is so nice. So what I will do, I'll go get one more. I'll go get one more. Then you will lose the train, which means you will lose the destination. So in the material world, when we go for something, if we think, one more gratification and one more, then what happens? We will lose the train. We lose the journey. We lose the focus on the goal. That is what is said here. That the sages are clear-headed means they know Vivasaya Atmika Buddhihi Ekehe Kurunandana Bahu Shakahi Anantascha Buddhayo Avyavasayinam. The one who is very clear in his head, the sages, the Paramahamsas, they know exactly what they want. So they know how to separate water and take the milk, like how the Rajahamsas do. So they're very clear in their thought process. Similarly, a devotee has to be very clear-headed or focused that my goal is Krishna. He should not waver here and there. The moment he wavers, he gets distracted, and the distraction itself will let him off track for many, many lifetimes, right? So the Lord is so kind that he has spread the river Ganges throughout the universe so that by taking bath in that holy river, everyone can get release from the reactions of sins which occur at every step. There are many rivers in the world which are able to evoke one's sense of God consciousness simply by one's bathing in them, and the river Ganges is chief amongst them. In India, there are 5 sacred rivers, but the Ganges is the most sacred. The river Ganges and Bhagavad Gita are chief sources of transcendental happiness for mankind, and intelligent persons can take shelter of them to go back home, back to Godhead. Even Sripad Sankaracharya recommends that a little knowledge in Bhagavad Gita and the drinking of a little quantity of Ganges water can save one from the punishment of Yamaraj. How many of us we have had some little knowledge of Bhagavad Gita? Yes. How many of us have had the drinking of the little quantity of Ganges water? Have you all gone to Mayapur? Yes, everybody has. No. So we should take the opportunity. Whoever has not, we should take the opportunity to go as quickly as possible. Text number 42. Yat Shraddhaya Shrutavatya cha Bhaktya Samrujyamane Hridaye Avadhaya Jnanena Vairagya Balena Dhira Vrajema Tattengri Sarojapitam.
Hare Krishna. Carry on, Mataji. Carry on.
No.
Thank you, Mataji.
There are 3 of you. I don't know. One of you can read.
Thank you, Mataji. Yet
Okay.
that, yes, Mataji. Thank you. Yet that which Shraddhaya by eagerness, Shrutavatya simply by hearing, cha also Bhaktaya in devotion, Samrigraya Manane being cleansed, Hridaye in the heart, Avadhaya meditation, Jnanena by knowledge, Vairagya detachment, Balena by strength of Dhiraha the pacified, Vrajema must go to that they yours, Angiri feet, Saroja Pritam lotus sanctuary. Hare Krishna.
Simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge. And on the strength of detachment, one becomes pacified. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. So in the last verse, we were seeing that the clear-headed bird with the wings of Vedas flies and takes shelter in the lotus feet of the Lord. So here the actual word Saroja Pitam, lotus sanctuary, is being used. That just like how the bird takes refuge in a sanctuary to protect itself from the miseries of the so-called weather or climatic conditions that affect the bird. Similarly, the sages or the devotees take shelter at the lotus sanctuary of the Supreme Lord. Angri Saroja Pitam. Tat Angri Saroja Pitam. And he says, Vrajema must go to. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. But what is the process? Simply by hearing about your lotus feet. Taking shelter of the lotus sanctuary of the Supreme Lord happens by Srutavatya, simply by hearing. But then there is a prefix to it. Condition. What is the condition? It says Shraddhaya Shrutavatya. That is, it has to be with Shraddha, with complete faith and eagerness. It has to be there. It's not just a, just casual approach, right? And then he says Bhaktya. So simply by hearing, and then with eagerness, and then with devotion. Then we do. But then what happens? Our mind is so anxiety every time that after hearing, we go switch off, class over, then we go to something, then our mind goes everywhere. What we heard, we forget. In fact, today morning I was hearing one Bhagavatam class by His Holiness Veda Vyasa Priya Swami. He was giving class in Mayapur today morning, Bhagavatam class. So wonderful class. It was so nice, relishing it. And then after 2 hours, I was doing something. I was trying to recollect what I heard. It simply did not come to my head. I couldn't recollect it. Then I thought I should have written it down. That is the nature of our Prayen alpayushah sabya kalau asmin yuge jana mandaha sumanda matayah manda bhagya upatra. Sumanda matayah. Our mind cannot remember these things. Even if you want to remember manda bhagya, fortune is very less. Even if you have the fortune to hear and write it down, still upadrita, there are always disturbances that don't allow us to do things. So, what is being stressed here? The stress is there should be eagerness, there should be devotion, and then more importantly, by meditating upon them within the heart. That is important. Otherwise, the knowledge that we receive through this year will go out through the other year. If it does not go and reach the heart, Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Kata. This Kata should enter the ear and then go and settle down in our heart. Which means in today's language, we need to see as to whatever we hear, how we can push it to our subconscious mind and keep it in our subconscious mind. Either the subconscious mind or the main conscious mind, whatever. We have to keep it in our consciousness. That's what Krishna says. Krishna says, Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Think of me. How is it possible? Which means you're doing it, but still your consciousness is always, subconsciously, you're always thinking about Krishna. Oh, I'm fighting for Krishna. The goal is Krishna. Krishna has already killed everyone. I am supposed to just do it because he wants me to do it. This is my duty. I've surrendered to him. He is my guru. I'm his disciple. So he has told me I have to do it like that. We have to always keep thinking about what is the goal, right? Very clearly. So the way to put it in our subconscious mind is, now there are various techniques that they say. You hear it, you write it down. And then after 1 hour, try to mentally recapture it. Whatever you heard, just after 1 hour, give an exercise to your head, your brain, your mind, saying that, oh, what did I hear 1 hour before? Let me recapture it. I wrote it down also. I wrote down in that first line this point, second line this point. This is what we discussed. We started with verse number 39. This is what it said. 40, it said something like this. This is a connection like this, like this, like this. Mentally visualize it. And then next day, try to recollect it. And then after 1 week, try to summarize and just kind of visually think what all I learned. What did I learn really? If we can do that, that is the best way to push it to our subconscious mind. Then we can do smarana, meditation. Because ultimately, what is our goal? Our goal is not simply hearing. Hearing is good. But if the hearing is going to pass out through the other ear, there is no use of that hearing. Right? The ultimate goal is that, what is that? Smartavyah satatam Vishnu. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to us is that Smartavyah satatam Vishnur Vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedaha syur etayor eva kinkaraha. In fact, His Holiness Vedava Swami Maharaj, this is what he was talking about today, as I just recollected. Smartavyah satatam Vishnu. That one has to always remember Krishna or Vishnu. Vismartavyo na jatuchit. And never forget him. Is always remember Krishna itself means you should not forget him. But then he says, Vishmatavyo na jatuchit. Never forget him. Okay. Sarve vidhi nishedaha syuhu. Which means every other rule, which means whether we are chanting, whether we are doing offering, we are cooking for Krishna, we are going to the temple, we are doing some service, whatever we are doing, all of these things, sarve vidhi, these are all vidhis that we are doing, right? Nishedaha, which means they're all, where is it? Rules and prohibitions. Vidhis means do's and then don'ts are there. Nishedaha. Syuhu. Etayor eva kinkaraha. They are all servants. All these vidhis of do's and don'ts, they are all servants. Servants to who? That one vidhi of satatam smartavyah Vishnu. Ultimately, all of these regulations should serve that ultimate goal, which is to think always about Krishna. If our chanting, which is a vidhi, 16 rounds, whatever rounds that we are doing, ultimately, if it doesn't serve the goal or the master, who's the master? Smartavyaha satatam Vishnu, always remember Krishna, but we are not able to remember Krishna. So is the servant serving actually remembrance? No. Because 16th round finished, oh, I finished 16th round. Today's quota over. Let's now do something else. All of us. Right? We have several priorities. What can I do next? What can I do? So we keep going here and there. So what we should do, we should reorient our head. Oh, I'm doing this service. Is this service helping me to think about Krishna? Always. First, at least sometimes. Which means at least when we are doing the service, are we thinking about Krishna or not? To that, at least we can begin, right? So we have to begin with at least when we are doing the service, we have to think about Krishna and not something else. Because you know what happens when we become experienced in devotional service also becomes very, subconscious activity. Chanting Hare Krishna, go on, then book reading, everything will go on like a ritual, but then thinking of Krishna would have gone. Initially, when we started Krishna consciousness, when we chant Hare Krishna, our mind will fight to always think about Krishna, remember, we have to. But after we become a little bit experienced, just like, when we first started to drive cycle, you'll be very careful when to brake, where the hole is, I should avoid this. But once you become expert driver, then what happens? You don't care about anything. One hand, sometimes two hands also you will live and you drive. We become a little bit careless. So we have to be careful. Careful about what? The ultimate goal. What is the ultimate goal? Smartavyah satatam Vishnu. To always remember Krishna. So every devotional service that we are doing, whether it is Shravanam, Kirtanam, they have to serve Vishnoho Smaranam. Padasevanam, Vishnoho Smaranam. Ultimately, all of these processes should help in the process of always remembering Krishna. If it does not help in that process of remembering Krishna, then what happens? The actual goal will not. So simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened. So when the meditation upon them within the heart happens, then at once becomes enlightened with knowledge. Otherwise, no. And on the strength of detachment, one becomes pacified. What happens? Enlightenment and knowledge is happening, but if the anxieties are there in the head, because of the attachment that we have for the material world, then they will not allow that knowledge to assimilate. So what we should do, when the detachment is there, then what happens? We become pacified. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kamshati. Samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate params. Then bhakti will enter. Because that is the state of being pacified. Otherwise, what happens? Every day we will be chanting, we will be hearing, we will be doing all of those things, but smartavyam will not happen. So smartavyam, smartavyaha satatam Vishnu, if that has to happen, we should keep that in our mind. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. I'll quickly read the purport. The miracles of meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord with eagerness and devotion are so great that no other process can compare to it. The minds of materialistic persons are so disturbed that it is almost impossible for them to search after the supreme truth by personal regulative endeavors. But even such materialistic men, with a little eagerness for hearing about the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., can surpass all other methods of attaining knowledge and detachment. The conditioned soul is attached to bodily conception of the self, and therefore he is in ignorance. Culture of self-knowledge can bring about detachment from material affection, and without such detachment, there is no meaning to knowledge. The most stubborn attachment for material enjoyment is sex life. One who is attached to sex life is to be understood as devoid of knowledge. Knowledge must be followed by detachment. That is the way of self-realization. These two essentials for self-realization, knowledge and detachment, become manifest very quickly if one performs devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord. The word dhira is very significant in this connection. A person who is not disturbed even in the presence of cause of disturbance is called dhira. Dhira does not mean that there is no disturbance, I am very steady. Even if there is disturbance around us, if we are steady, then that is called dhira. Right? Sri Yamunacharya says, since my heart has been overwhelmed by the devotional service of Lord, I cannot even think of sex life. And if thoughts of sex come upon me, I at once feel disgust. A devotee of the Lord becomes an elevated dhira by the simple process of meditating in eagerness on the lotus feet of the Lord. Devotional service entails being initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and following his instruction in regard to hearing about the Lord. Such a bona fide spiritual master is accepted by regularly hearing from him about the Lord. The improvement in knowledge and detachment can be perceived by devotees as an actual experience. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strongly recommended this process of hearing from a bona fide devotee, and by following this process, one can achieve the highest result, conquering all other methods. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो